For the first time in nearly 2 decades, the congressional authorizations justifying U.S. conflicts in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and then stretch to include engagements ranging from Syria to Yemen to the strike against Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, are under consideration.
Over 20 years, successive administrations have interpreted and reinterpreted the text of that resolution to use it in new countries against an expanding list of loosely connected groups. This process has all but cut Congress out of its fundamental responsibility to decide issues of war and peace.
Under the U.S. Constitution, Congress has the power to declare war, but the 2001 and 2002 authorizations of use of military force gave U.S. presidents broad powers to engage overseas.
Presidents increasingly go it alone and tell Congress the bare minimum about military actions. Presidents and their lawyers look to a 20-year-old authorization of force to justify their actions. If we do nothing, we shouldn't be surprised by the outcome.
That debate revived earlier this month following renewed tensions between the U.S. and Iran. The White House signaling it is willing to work with Congress to repeal those authorizations in favor of a narrower framework.
They should include concrete consequences, like a funding cutoff with a shorter clock. Put the president and executive branch officials on notice from the outset that if they can't get congressional support for their actions, their funding has an expiration date.
Past efforts to repeal the authorizations have met with opposition from presidents on both sides of the aisle, as well as Republican criticism it could hamper the U.S. response to terrorist threats.
We have the same goal here. We may have just a little bit different means of getting about it. We should also avoid dismissive talk of forever wars because it implies that our ongoing counterterrorism engagements are illegal and unnecessary.
As a senator, Biden worked for greater congressional oversight over presidential war powers. Now that he's in the White House, there is a sense Congress can reassert control over one of its most important responsibilities.
There is a fundamental question of leveling with the American public and holding the president accountable for the justification that he or she proposes to provide.
Legislation repealing those decades-old authorizations has already been introduced in the U.S. Senate. Katherine Gypson, VOA News, Washington.